Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome back to 7 and 7.
The jingle never gets old, babe.
No, it doesn't. You need a jingle for
I
this.
know.
It's one of those things, it just needs a jingle.
Hey, it's so good to be with you this morning.
We're so excited to be with you guys today, talking about the altar of incense. This, I think, is probably one of my favorite pieces in the tabernacle that we've been talking about so far. Andrew, do you want to tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the main theme this morning is simply this phrase: prayer always comes from a place of sacrifice. Mm-hmm. Prayer always comes from a place of sacrifice. We're going to get into what that means in a second, but I'd like to kind of recap what the priest's duty was at the altar of incense. Mm-hmm. So you have the outer courts of the tabernacle, then you go into the holy place, the table of showbread, the lampstand, and then right in front of the veil that goes into the most holy place, you have the altar of incense. And every year the priest would put incense in a censer, which actually kind of looks like more like a cup. It's kind of like a cup. It has a lid, and they put incense in it, and then they would go to the altar of sacrifice in the outer courts where you kill the lamb, and kill the, all the stuff gets killed. And then they would bring it back in, and the smoke would be collecting in the censer. They'd open it up, lift up the curtain of the veil, put it underneath, and fill the room with the incense, or as we're learning, the prayers of the people. Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it's really cool. And something, we were kind of talking about this last night, and we had this like epiphany moment of like, we had talked a couple of weeks ago about the altar of sacrifice. And one of the priest's roles with the altar of sacrifice was that the fire was to continually stay lit. The priest would go out there daily, put wood on the fire, because that fire was not to go out on the altar of sacrifice. And so to light the altar of incense, they would go out and pull from that same fire that never goes out from the altar of sacrifice to then light the altar of incense. So they're pulling from the same fire.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned that, because God is not just, loosey-goosey.
Yeah.
He is very particular in where he wanted them to pull the fire from. Mm-hmm. And that was from the place of sacrifice. So what I kind of heard you say essentially was that the priests, their role was to ignite their prayers by the fire of the sacrifice that was on the altar.
Bingo.
In other words, the prayers of God's people, us, will be ignited from a place of sacrifice.
Yeah.
Let me say that again. Prayers always come from a place of sacrifice.
Amen.
And I think it's super cool to see this, that Jesus obviously is the perfect example in every situation. But you look at Luke chapter 22, 41 through 42, Jesus he knows he's about to be betrayed. He's about to go and be put on trial to be crucified. And he goes into the Garden of Gethsemane. And he goes with his disciples. It says in the scriptures, he withdrew from them about a stone's throw. Important here, it says he knelt down and he prayed, saying, "Father, if you're willing, remove this cup from me.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, not my will, but yours be done." Mm-hmm. And I love that. And I don't know necessarily if the cup, the censer, but there's just something so cool about seeing Jesus lay down himself sacrificially in the garden. And he became that sacrifice that was lit and ignited. And his prayer became an incense unto God as he went to the most holy place shortly after. And so I think I've said this, maybe you've said this. And Kurt, I love the way he talked about it on Sunday. He said, sometimes I feel like we say, I just don't feel like my prayers are connecting. They're just not rising above the ceiling. And I know I've said that.
Yeah.
And so I think we were chatting last night and we landed here. It's our prayers will never rise above the ceiling if our knees never hit the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Our prayers will never rise above the ceiling if our knees don't hit the floor. And so what does that look like, Kaylyn, like practically to sacrificially pray?
Yeah, I mean, it looks like saying, okay, like Jesus said in the garden, not my will, Lord, but yours. Not my motives, but yours. Not my desires, but yours. Not my insecurities, but your confidence. It's it's really this laying down of things that really allows the fragrance of the incense to rise.
Yeah, I love that. And so really the challenge this morning is we want to keep this super short because we want to give you time to sacrificially pray. Hey, husbands, we don't like to get uncomfortable, but this morning is your moment to get on your knees for your family, to get uncomfortable in your living room on your knees for your family. Hey, wives, this is your morning to get into the closet, that secret place, that war room, and pray for your family. Hey, singles and students, maybe you're in school. This is that moment to say, no, I'm not going to go to my friend's house. I'm actually going to get into the secret place and pray and petition to God his heart and give it back to him. And so this is that challenge to sacrificially pray today. And I promise you, it will ignite the incense. It'll be smoky.
It'll be real smoky.
Let me pray as we close this morning. God, we love you. And this morning, Jesus, we sacrificially pray to you. We lay down our motives. We lay down our wants, our desires, all the things that we've come to this morning thinking, praying, thinking about. Even maybe last night you didn't even get good sleep. Maybe we didn't get good sleep because we're thinking, tracing, and circling these problems or these situations. And God, this morning we come before you and we lay them at your feet. And we ask that, God, it would not be our will, but it would be yours. And that everything that happens today, God, would be your heart, and that we would pray your heart back to you, Jesus. And we're excited to see the smoke fill the holy place, God, and the incense rise to you. In your name I pray. Amen.
It's good to see you guys, and we'll see you tonight, 7 p.m.